Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of Formula 1 2019 Career Mode. Today we go to one of the harder Grand Prix of the season for myself, the Bahrain Grand Prix. This is a track that I struggled at quite a bit in the past, and hopefully we can have a solid run today. Obviously in the Haas we're not going to be contending for no victories. I do have the AI, like I said, down to 106, so it's kind of low, but we're going to be hoping for the best result possible. We jump right to qualifying, as I don't really find a need to show you guys any of the practice programs that go on. So yeah, we jump right to qualifying, and we actually made it to Q2 here in qualifying. Made one lap or two, I think it was one lap we made in Q1, and that got us into Q2, I think by like one spot we made it by. So now we jump to Q2 towards the end of our lap, our fastest lap in the session, coming down in to the final corner. At the moment, Sebastian Vettel was P1 as we head down the front straightaway, coming through to activate DRS as we head down across the line, up over 2/10 faster, and we go with a 129.954, and that puts us P13, and we would retire from the session, and we would drop down by another extra spot, and I believe we dropped down to P14, which wouldn't be enough to get us to the third round, obviously, but yes, indeed, it was P14, and Grosjean starts P11, so hopefully we can be a strong factor in the race. So let's get to the pre-race show with Crofty and Davidson.
There's something in the Bahrain air tonight, and I'm not just talking about the sand. Our brightest minds have thrust their brightest ideas into the spotlight of the Sakhir circuit this evening as we look ahead once more to a Grand Prix that has thrilled us so consistently in the past. Formula 1 returns to the desert today on this exceptional 3.36-mile circuit. 15 corners provide plenty of overtaking opportunities. It could be a strategic race, this one, with Sakhir notorious for eating up the rear tyres. Watch out for drivers managing their rubber at some point during the Grand Prix. Joining us today to oversee all the thrills and spills, it's Anthony Davidson. And great to see you. How are you feeling about the race today, and how are the circuit conditions from what you've seen?
Well, the surface looks clean enough, but I'm a little bit worried about the track temperature. It's pretty cool out there, which could give some teams difficulties when it comes to keeping their tyres in the right operating window. The cars out there that work their tyres hard and really put a lot of energy through them, they'll be the ones that are better off.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Sebastian Vettel will start on pole. Fantastic qualifying from the multiple world champion, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Bottas, Pierre Gasly and Ricciardo, Verstappen, Weber, Butler and Sergio Perez, Grosjean, Raikkonen, Carlos Sainz, the Rainmaster, Norris, Kvyat, George Russell and Antonio Giovinazzi. Albon and Robert Kubica takes the last spot on the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
After the points finish last race, let's aim to keep the momentum going.
Alright, you heard Jeff there, hoping to keep the momentum going with another points finish. It might be a little bit tough, and I knew it was going to be tough because, once again, I forgot to take some fuel out of the car, so we have like over 2 laps extra of fuel in the car for the start of this race, so we're going to be a little bit slower once we take the green flag here in Bahrain. And now we would line up for the formation lap here. I was pretty concerned for this first run of this Grand Prix, but I was hoping for the best now as we come towards the end of the formation lap here in P14, getting ready to go green for the second race of our Formula 1 career, behind Kimi Raikkonen there and the Alfa Romeo, with Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris, the 2 McLarens on my left-hand side here for the start. It is Sebastian Vettel and Charles Leclerc on the front row, the 2 Ferrari drivers now, as it's 5 red lights and we're ready to go green. And now the lights are out and Sebastian Vettel is away to lead us down towards turns 1. It's not a very good start for myself, as you see Daniel Kvyat immediately jumping to the right-hand side of me and taking advantage as Sebastian Vettel goes side by side with Charles Leclerc into turns 1. But Vettel, he would come out of the first few corners with the lead just where he started now, as we get a winglet flying there from a Toro Rosso, and we get through now, dropping dropping 3 positions down into P17 behind Lando Norris there. And the McLaren as we head down towards the right-hander. Kvyat throwing a bit of a block on Norris as we look to the left-hand side now of the Alfa Romeo driver of GIOVINAZZI now, and he's going to make us wide there as he did not leave me the room to get back on the track, so I back out of it and follow in lane behind him now as Lando Norris also loses that spot once again to GIOVINAZZI. Now Lando Norris around the outside, now of the inside of GIOVINAZZI, taking over that 15th position as we exit the corner. So a great start for Norris there, going on attack mode over GIOVINAZZI, but we came through on towards the end of our first lap down in P17, like I said, and you see how much field's in the car, way too much. So we were much slower on these early handful of laps than we will be later in this race. Now we got Robert Kubica coming through really quickly with a chance to get past me, but he does not make a move, thankfully. And as now we came to lap 3, still running in behind GIOVINAZZI. The field was slowly getting lower, and that was obviously being an advantage towards myself now as we sit behind GIOVINAZZI with DRS behind me. Kubica very close, but he once again isn't quite close enough to make a move there as we went up the left-hander into this third sector just about now, just trying to get this feel out of the car so I can pick up the pace and have a chance to pass GIOVINAZZI there in the Alfa Romeo. Lando Norris still just up ahead of GIOVINAZZI with Daniel Kvyat, I believe, just in front of Norris now as Alexander Albon. He was a little bit behind us now as we come to lap 4. We come through right behind GIOVINAZZI. Someone up ahead is having an issue slowing this up now, and I take advantage and look to the inside now of GIOVINAZZI as we go down into the right-hander. So we complete the pass for P16 and set our sights now on a fellow rookie driver this season of Lando Norris as we head down into one of the hardest braking corners on the Formula 1 schedule. They're getting through there pretty good though. Now as we came to lap 5, the next lap later, you see it's Devin Butler, I think, who it was having the issue in the Renault. Now as we look to the left-hand side of Norris and make the pass into turns 1, a great pass there, getting a little bit of oversteer on the exit of the corner now, setting our sights on our favorite driver in the field of Devin Butler now as we head down into the right-hander there. GIOVINAZZI stuck his nose up my inside for a brief moment, but thankfully backed out of it now as Charles Leclerc is out of the session, and he's blowing up here in this second sector, and he pulls over to the left-hand side of the track, and he is out early of the Bahrain Grand Prix now, so that will be a free position to us, but a heartbreak for Charles Leclerc as Bahrain just doesn't like to treat him well in real life or in the video game. Now as we came to the third sector, approaching the final corner, we got into the right-hand side of Devin Butler. Now GIOVINAZZI coming up on me though, and he's going to make it 3 wide, so I back out of it and let him make the move now as we come through the last corner. He gets to the left-hand side, so we get to the right of him, and now he falls in line behind us as we're side by side with Butler behind us. GIOVINAZZI still right behind us now as we clear Butler, but GIOVINAZZI is full attack mode. He looks to my right-hand side as we go down towards turns 1 now, side by side into the first corner, trying to give each other room as we do clear GIOVINAZZI as we come through the first corner and second corner now as we get a little bit of oversteer on the exit, and that's going to allow GIOVINAZZI to come back at me and make a move once again to my right-hand side as we're going to run him down the track a little bit, but give him the room he needs as we go down into the corner. Now we come out of the corner, clearing the GIOVINAZZI just about there as we do go down towards the little S's, and we hang on to the 13th position now as we would be able to drive away from him. And as we came to lap 8, our teammate Roman Grosjean, he would come to pit road, and we were now running down Kimi Räikkönen just up ahead here in that 12th position. And at the end of lap 9, we would run down Kimi Räikkönen now, as you see me with just behind his gearbox. Lewis Hamilton was behind us, closing in as we look to the left-hand side of Räikkönen, just about there. But like I said, Lewis Hamilton has closed in on us. He had made his pit stop and had run us down as we look to the right-hand side now of Kimi Räikkönen, just scrapping it out with these Alfa Romeo cars early on here today as Hamilton looks to my right-hand side, and he would make it 3 wide with myself and Räikkönen as we do get clear of Räikkönen as we head down towards turns 1. Bottas coming out of pit road now as we look to the right-hand side of him, just about turning into him, so I have to pull left there as I didn't realize that Bottas was still on my right-hand side, so I went to turn in normally to turn 1, and I quickly noticed him there, so I corrected back left, and thankfully we kept it off of him. Now as we came to lap 11, Pierre Gasly would have a DNF as he, once again, just like Charles Leclerc, had a mechanical failure, and he has pulled off to the right-hand side of the track. Heartbreak there for Pierre Gasly in the second race of the season, but obviously no safety cars called. We would continue on here in the 7th position for the moment now, closing in on Daniel Kvyat at this point, but my tires are really starting to wear, especially the left rear at 76% you see there. So on lap 12 I decided, okay, it's time to come to pit road because I was having a lot of oversteer in this car now. It was Max Verstappen, he had run me down and got past me. So we would come to the pit lane to make our first and only pit stop. We're only on a one-stop strategy. We're coming in to put the white hard tire on, and this should take us to the end. It might be close with the left rear, but we should have enough tire management to hang on to the end of this race and only have to do one pit stop now, as it's a decent stop there as the Williams goes by, and we exit our pit box now as we head back on to the pit lane. So once again, that is our only stop of the night here in Bahrain. 2.856 seconds now as we exit pit lane, and we see George Russell coming up quickly, I believe that is, or that's Robert Kubica actually. That was Russell who was in the pit lane with us now, but we get out in front of them with no problems at all as we exit turn 1, and we would be able to just get away from these guys behind me. Obviously, we have low fuel in the car finally, so we certainly had more pace in the car. And we would run down Daniel Kvyat as we came to lap 14, looking to the left-hand side of him as we went into the final corner, setting him up for a front straightaway pass now as we have a bunch of oversteer on the exit of the corner, but we still have the momentum and put it into overtake mode on ERS and look to his right-hand side as we would blow right on past Daniel Kvyat and slide back up in front of him as we got into the grass a little bit there with the left-hand side of the car, but we went down into turns 1, and now we would set sail away from Kvyat and we would just continue on with our race, and we certainly were showing a lot more pace on this hard tire with less fuel in the car. We came through up to P10 now behind Devin Butler as Daniel Ricciardo had came into pit road, so we had gotten just past Daniel for the brief moment, but I knew he had much more pace than I did. He was on a much fresher, obviously, set of tires, and he was on the medium tires, so he was certainly going to have much more speed than I did early on in this run now, so I was certainly not really in the mood to really fight Daniel. I figured if he gets to me, we're just going to let him pass once he gets up to the left hand or right hand side of me. So as we come down into the right hand, still holding him off for a brief moment, but obviously he's still warming his tires up, and now he was certainly putting the pressure on. As we came to the end of lap 17, he would look to the right hand side of me, and I would let him have the position as we went down into the right hander. He's on a completely different strategy than I am. He is much faster than I was, so what's the point of trying to fight him now? As we went down the front straightaway, I would ride just behind him here as we went down the front straightaway. He had DRS, so obviously I was just in his draft as we went down towards turns 1. He gets a little bit defensive, not knowing if I'm going to make a move or not. Obviously I had no intentions to make a move, but he would be able to drive away, and as we came to now lap 18, still in P10, but our teammate Roman Grosjean, he was coming to pit road to make pit stop number 2 of the night, and he has outrun us this whole time, but now we are going to take over the spot from Roman Grosjean there, so he's going to fall behind us, and he's going to have to hunt us down within the final 11 laps of this race. And as we came to lap 20, you see Ricciardo still about maybe a second and a half ahead or so, just trying to stick with him because we know his medium tires are going to certainly fall off, and we might be able to run him down towards the end of this run if we're lucky. Now as we come through the right-hander, heading down the straightaway towards the final corner, just setting a much better pace here on the second and final run for myself now, as I'm doing a pretty good job managing the ERS. I felt still some work to do, I think, there as we come through the final corner on lap 20, and now it's time for a quick little late race update. Sebastian Vettel, he was still leading at this point. He started on pole. He was well out ahead of Lewis Hamilton, who was in second place. Third place was Valtteri Bottas there. In fourth place was the Racing Point of our former F2 teammate of Lucas Weber, who's having a great run here in Bahrain, and his teammate Sergio Perez, he was in P5. Obviously, they would probably be back one extra position if Charles Leclerc was still in this race, but great runs for the two Racing Point cars of Lucas Weber and Sergio Perez. Now as we came to lap 23, sitting P9 still as we went down into the final corner. Daniel Ricciardo was starting to run down the McLaren of, I believe, which was Carlos Sainz as we came through. Now on lap 25, sure enough, it was Sainz who had gotten passed by Ricciardo, and we were slowly reeling in Carlos Sainz within the final laps, but there was only 4 to go at this point, so I knew we were running out of time, over 2 seconds behind him. So it was looking like we weren't going to be able to run down Carlos Sainz at this point as we went down towards turns 1. But now as we came through to hit 3 laps to go, it was just over 2.3 seconds. It was now down to 1.7 seconds. And then as we came to 2 laps to go, still very slightly closing in on Sainz, now down to 1.5. And as we came to the final lap of this Grand Prix, 9 hundredths between myself and Carlos Sainz, less than a second as we run our fastest lap of the day. The final lap here in Bahrain is underway as we went down towards turns 1. Sebastian Vettel has dominated this whole race. He is well in command within this final lap of the Bahrain Grand Prix. Last episode went to Lewis Hamilton in Australia. Hamilton running second right now as you head down through towards the end of the first sector, just trying to close in on Sainz here, running a little bit low on ERS, so I was trying to save it up here for a last like half lap push on Carlos Sainz. Now down to 700ths between myself and Sainz as we head down into the right-hander as we come through, locking up just a little bit, but we are okay. And Sebastian Vettel, like I said, has dominated this whole Grand Prix, and he is getting ready to come through to win the Bahrain Grand Prix. And Lewis Hamilton's going to come through to get the second position on the podium, and Valtteri Bottas would come through to be P3 here in Bahrain and round up the podium now as we continue to try and run down Carlos Sainz now through up into the end of the second sector. He's definitely too far ahead at this point. It looks like we're pretty much guaranteed a 9th place finish if I don't make a mistake, setting my fastest lap of the race so far as we head down the straightaway, trying to close in on Sainz in overtake mode now on the ERS, but just not close enough to Carlos Sainz as we head down into the final corner. Daniel Ricciardo up ahead in that 7th position, Sainz 8th, myself 9th, as we have a lot of oversteer on the exit of the corner. The left rear is at 75, but it doesn't matter. We come through to cross the line to get a 9th place finish here in the Bahrain Grand Prix. So a great result that I was very happy with because it's Bahrain. I usually struggle here quite a bit. So we beat our teammate Roman Grosjean, even though we kind of shouldn't have, but I'm very thankful for this great finish here in Bahrain.
That's a fantastic performance from Ferrari. It hardly looked in doubt. Talk to me, Ant. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection. A shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
Here come our winners now. A thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
Sebastian Vettel wins the Bahrain Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton had the fastest lap, so he gets an extra point. And we actually got Driver of the Day from Anthony Davidson there, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, 9th and 10th for the Haas cars here. Grosjean definitely would have beat us if he was able to do the one-stop, so we just got lucky there to beat him. Very happy that we were able to pull that off. Now is Vettel and Hamilton, after 2 races, are tied in the points. In 3rd place in the points, you saw there, was our former F2 teammate Lucas Faber in the Racing Point. So a great result for Weber. He's doing a great job there in this season so far now as we sit 4th, I think it said there, in the Constructors. So doing pretty good now with Haas. Obviously, we did 1 spot better in Australia. 9th at Bahrain with the Haas. Nothing to complain about. So I was very happy with that. Hopefully, we can make some more upgrades to this car. Obviously, we're not in a car that's capable of winning. So hopefully, later in the season, we might be able to contend for a podium or two. We'll never know. But as always, if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Those would all be very, very appreciated. I'd like to thank you all for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. We would come through to make some upgrades there, especially a durability upgrade with the gearbox. And that's pretty much all. We do have, I believe, some upgrades potentially coming to the car in the next episode, which may put us maybe a little bit better than Renault. We'll see how it goes, but hopefully we will be able to compete with them much more. So I'll see you guys in the next one for China. Thank you for watching, everybody, and have yourselves a great day.